All right, and welcome back to the Dented Buck. My name's Drew. As always, I'm joined by Josh, Dirk, and Corey. How's it going, boys?
Pretty good. It's nice in Jersey right now. It's going to be nice in Minnesota this weekend. Looking forward to it. How's it going down in DC there?
The weather down here has been great all day. I'm sitting on my porch in a t-shirt. It's still nice. So it's been a good day. How's the snow in Colorado there, Corey?
It's great.
Well,
I mean, to be fair, I am really excited for Minnesota because it's just like over here, it's like always cloudy, and it's just like, oh, even though it's snowing, you might be able to see the mountains, but it's just like, no, it's just cloudy and dreary. So I'm excited to go out into the sun.
Yeah, Minnesota's gonna be fun. It'll be the second time the Dented Bucks have been at a pond hockey tournament, so I'm excited to do that again. We had the opposite in Colorado last year where it was super sunny the entire time we were there. And the glare off of the ice and the snow mixed with playing hockey was just brutal.
Oh, yeah. God, I couldn't even imagine. Well, see, that's why, like, I think we were texting about it earlier, but I figured out, I think I sent you that picture. I can put it up on put it up on the screen of what I have.
Oh yeah, the ski goggles.
Yeah, this blue-ass ski goggles.
I'm telling you, they're if it is as sunny as it was in Denver or in Silverthorne when we played, then you will definitely be happy you have them.
Oh yeah, I will. I know I will. I know I will.
Yeah, when I go skiing, I have to use them because I can't handle the white snow glare. I know what you're talking about. It's awful. It's just sheer white. Everything's bright and it reflects.
Hey, I'm still suggesting to get the Ovechkin visor.
I'm gonna say this though. So what's it called? Silverthorne was what, 9,000 feet, right?
It was something crazy.
Yeah.
Prior Lake's only 900. Prior Lake's not even 1,000 feet up, so we're at least gonna be a little farther away from the sun.
True. Yeah, that was brutal because we went from airport to car, 3-hour drive directly to a game, and without any time to acclimate to the altitude. So that made it more brutal.
I mean, we played game 8-something game, didn't we?
Oh, I didn't eat anything. I don't think I ate anything until we got back to the house that night.
Did we?
No, I mean, we never eat at any event.
No, we don't. We don't. It's our anorexic hockey trips. Actually, that would be us. No, that's different, right? Yeah, anorexia is not that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure
not
people look at me and think I miss a couple meals here and there.
I don't miss any meals.
I do not either.
It may look like it, but I don't.
I find a few extras actually. I'm like a hobbit.
I got them.
But Dirk, weren't at camp? Didn't you look at weren't you another one that we were like, we should be eating, but we really physically can't eat right now?
I think it was. Yeah, I was nauseous at camp. Yeah, I had like the friggin' Charlie gave me his monkeypox or something. I don't know what he had.
Because we're not cutting that now.
Well, no, I don't know. He came to his camp sick, and he's like, "Yeah, I went to the doctors, and I said, give me the best stuff you got, and they gave me 4 cups of medicine. I don't even know what they are." And I'm like, "Okay."
Mr. Mitchell, you're not allowed in Canada.
Oh man. But no, I went home and got my whole family sick when I went home. But yeah, no, it was interesting. Yeah, but I remember what you're talking about. We were in Buffalo. Yeah, I think I was nauseous. Yeah.
Yeah. The food was good there too. I wish I could.
Yeah. I was so irritated. I'm like, I just want to eat. It tastes so good. But yeah.
Man, okay. Before we get in our intro for this awesome episode we recorded, I have a love-hate relationship with fantasy hockey.
Dude, I'm taking you this week.
I think you will.
No, but I've been up for 2 days. I've been up on you, and it keeps saying the projected. You're like up 50 on me.
Well, and Matthews is back.
Yeah, but Jack's coming back tomorrow. Relax.
Whatever. Ottinger, I still think is the best goalie in the league. And thank you, Corey.
Huh? Oh, yeah.
I bamboo. I don't even think I bamboozled. I think Corey just was tired of me bugging him to get Ottinger.
I mean, I'm not last.
No, that is true.
I'm 2-15. Good God, I'm Prepare Uranus and Meth Club are that's a gap right there.
Sorry.
Yep. Yeah, I heard it. No, but it is wild. It is wild to me to play. This is the second year we've done Dented Pucks fantasy hockey. It is wild to me that you kind of you pay more attention to these players that you've picked up, and just to see the guys that you're like, oh, this guy is going to be amazing, and then he comes in and he's just not. It's not the same. Or he was really good, and I get that that's just hockey. That's ups and downs of being humans and stuff.
I only realize it now. I've got 2 whole spots on my starting lineup, like with nobody.
Dude, I know. That's why I kept bugging you about Ottinger, so you'd at least pay attention to the fact that you had like so much empty.
Corey, I feel like you should at least always have a spot open since your team is Meth Club.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I don't know. All I know is that I stuck with my team and I took Austin Matthews first, and I should have taken McDavid.
It's okay. At some point in the next week, you're going to have an 80. Doesn't Toronto already have an 88?
Yeah, Nylander.
I mean, is Nylander giving up the jersey?
You think Kane's going to go to Toronto?
Kane said there were 2 teams he wanted to go to, and one of them was the Rangers. That's been all out. How upset he was that that he didn't go to the Rangers.
Did it say what the other team was?
The Leafs.
Really?
Yeah, that's what it's been everywhere.
Oh, I saw Vegas and oh man, who was the other?
Everywhere I've seen it around here was that he was upset that he didn't go to the Rangers guy was Tarasenko, right?
Yeah.
And instead of him, because he only had 2 teams on his no trade on his list, and where it keeps saying the other team was the Leafs. So I don't know. I mean, it could be different. You're also there, so
yeah. Well,
I'm sure the information you're getting is more reliable.
I think I saw it on the NHL's website. But I think that the thing is, the only way that makes sense is if Nylander gets traded to Chicago for Kane. Like, that's the only way the money makes sense for the Maple Leafs. Kane's just been so bad this year. Sorry, Corey. But I don't know.
My thing was muted. You tell me that now?
Well, okay. You also said you didn't care and let me have my pick.
Oh, well, oh, yeah, you did. Oh, yeah, you did trade me Patrick Kane.
Who else did I give you? Kane and Knight?
No.
Grubauer?
Oh, good God.
Grubauer.
Give me Grubauer. Who are my other goalies? Josh Allen and Saros.
Hey, Saros?
Oh, sorry, Jake Allen. Josh Allen's the guy from the Bills. My bad.
Yeah. I mean, both those guys are goalies in the NHL.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Fantasy's crazy. I feel like it's made me watch more hockey too, so I'm a little appreciative of that. But so let's talk about our guest. So we all like to live by the mantra of hockey is for everyone, and this week we had Anthony Walsh on, who is just an amazing guy that wrote a kid's book and is trying to really push forward that notion that hockey is for everyone. We're really lucky, and you'll hear a little bit more about it in the episode, that we're partnering with him to bring blind hockey to his Hockey is for Everyone camp in St. Cloud, Minnesota this July, and also the showdown for some blind games there. But it is fascinating to listen to someone from Minnesota, because hockey is so much more than just a sport to them, and to kind of hear how he's utilized those relationships to benefit more than just himself. So with that being said, we hope that you guys enjoy this interview just as much as we enjoyed talking to him. All right, Anthony, welcome to the show. I'm really excited to have you on. We've had a couple conversations over the past month, and it's just great to meet like-minded people. So how are you doing?
I'm doing really well, thank you. And really happy to be here. And like you said, like-minded. The stuff that you all are doing is incredible, and so it's really an honor to be on your show. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. The honor is definitely ours. So let's talk about what brought us together. Let's talk about hockey. Where are you from? When did you start playing? Kind of what's your background in hockey?
Yeah, wow. So I'll get right to it. I was born in Washington, D.C., ended up in Minnesota by adoption, and then started playing hockey there. So being a Black individual is something that you don't always see on the ice, but that's something I've always known my entire life is skating. So I haven't really known anything else. So I started skating when I was 3, started playing hockey when I was 4, and from there I played youth hockey in Edina, Minnesota. I played all the way up through the ranks there. I played varsity hockey for Edina for 3 years, 2011, 2012, 2013. Had the great honor of being on a AA state championship team, and was able to accomplish that with the guys I had gone through Edina hockey with most of my life, and that was an incredible experience. I had a short stint D3 hockey at Bethel University in the MIAC, and then from there redid my freshman year after that, but had a year in between, a gap year in Canada, where I played junior A hockey in Steinbach, Manitoba, and in Brockville, Ontario. And then, as I kind of mentioned again, I went to school after that at UND up in Grand Forks, University of North Dakota. Played a year of club hockey there before kind of hanging up the skates a bit, competitively, and finding some other things to get passionately involved in.
Holy cow. That is incredible, man.
Oh, no way. If that's, I definitely feel like it's, it was a hockey journey, and I was grateful to be able to play with, some incredible players. Some of the people I played with are in the NHL now, and other people are just doing incredible things around the community and the state and, the country, et cetera. So, I feel just, very grateful to have had the opportunities I've had and to have been around the people that I've been around. But I, can attribute all of that to hockey.
Yeah, and I mean, Minnesota hockey is just a whole nother level of.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it really is. I mean, Minnesota hockey is another level. Like Edina hockey, the boys, West Metro, Lake Conference. Some of those schools, Edina, Minnetonka, Wayzata, et cetera, in particular, have some really really talented people, and it's really competitive. So, right, like you'll have people that there's still a couple stories of people that didn't make Edina's, high school varsity team and still went on to play D1 hockey and professional hockey, et cetera. So, like, yeah, Minnesota is one of those places where, no matter what level you're playing at, you're going to find people that really know what they're doing, know how to skate, put the puck in the net, et cetera.
Yeah. I mean, we play up at the Hendrickson every summer, and just seeing some of the guys from Minnesota play, it always blows my mind. And we make the joke with one of our Minnesota guys, Nick, that he's basically Canadian.
Yeah.
just with how important hockey is in that community. We've tried to trade him multiple times. They won't take him for some reason.
Right, we call it a Canada Light. That's a joke, but then again, like I say that with the tongue in cheek, because we do as well embrace very, very strongly our own Minnesotan American hockey culture. But yes, in a very joking manner, we can kind of call it Canada Light, just because we are the state of hockey, and it is really the main sport that a lot of people do celebrate and support.
Yeah. So what was it? I mean, in the state of hockey, what was it like for you growing up? Because those were high level competitiveness. I'm sure like compete level in those leagues that you were playing in were very high. So what was that like just in general? I mean, did it become your life pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, it really was, and like you said, a very high compete level. When you look at the United States Olympic teams on both men and women's, right? The roster are the rosters are, normally, filled with people from Minnesota, and that's not by accident, right? Like we do live, breathe, sleep, eat, hockey in the state, and right, like I kind of mentioned earlier, right? There are players who might not make their varsity squads, for the city or high school that they played for, but then who will go on to still play incredibly high level hockey, whether that be D1 or high level juniors or D3 or etc. But that just because they were cut from a high school team, their hockey journey is not over, because overall they still have so much skill, and that just in certain towns there's so much skill that can be put on the ice that you have to find other avenues. So I mean, it's a competitive atmosphere, right? But it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of brotherhood, a lot of community, a lot of teasing here and there as well, right? Like just like a lot of good fun. But like it's also really cool is people from different towns you get to know through summer hockey and playing against them and stuff. Cool little story, I guess, for mine, not like story, but just a team I had played on when I was, I think, a third grader maybe, was called the Rangers, and somebody who is now really well known, for their hockey prowess and is an absolute NHL superstar, Jake Gensel, who plays for the Penguins, happened to be on my team then, and all these kind of things. And I'd also had the great honor of playing, with a lot of other, really high level players who had played at, high level college or in the NHL, et cetera. And so, yeah, Minnesota hockey is really a carve out on its own when it comes to the sport of hockey, in my opinion. And a lot of people, that want to learn the game right, they come here because they want to be around people that are, again, living, breathing, sleeping the sport of hockey.
Yeah. I just want to say, I've never met an NHL player in person, and we know a couple guys that are friends with NHL coaches, NHL players, things like that. The way you guys just like nonchalantly talk about these people, I would be losing my mind.
Well, no, and it's like very interesting, because I mean, like, right, like these are the elite of the elite. I mean, like, they're absolutely right, but at the end of the day, they are also kind of your peers, right? So, having grown up with these people, being on first name basis, et cetera, right? Like it's just kind of like a privilege, I guess, that you have of being part of this community where, again, hockey is such a lifeblood that it allows people to go on and to make careers out of it and to make livings and be able to feed their families, et cetera. And, that is really, really awesome. And, kind of, again, that's not for everybody. And just, to highlight that as well, right? Like I played on a team that was considered to be, the best in the state and all these things. And when we had won, and, most of the people that I had played with realistically just kind of, have gone on in non-hockey life and to, make really big differences in their communities there. So, I mean, like what's really cool kind of, again, about that is like, even if hockey might not be the ultimate path that you take, like you're still able to, again, draw from those childhood experiences and, people that you call friends and teammates, acquaintances, et cetera, right? Like you still see them around and you're able to, forge those strong bonds. So, when I do see people like Anders Lee out and, when he's back from New York, et cetera, right? Stuff like that. I mean, like he is a regular guy. He's an incredibly amazing person that, doesn't look down on anybody because of the high status that he holds. And, that just is a testament to his character and a testament to the character of a lot of these, people, that do reach these heights, that at the end of the day, they're just people like you and me. And, right, like I think that, as much as they probably, love to be, held to a high standard for the accomplishments that they've held, I do think that a lot of times it can be really, nice and humbling, and to be just, treated like a regular human being, when you're back home.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. So, where would you like to go with your hockey? Do you want to talk about just growing up in that community, or?
Well, right. I mean, like, I guess, so like growing up in the community, right? Edina, again, great community, very hockey based, and I spent a lot of my time on the ice. I'd say out of 365, right, 345, right. I'm probably on the ice, when I was younger, skating and all these kind of things, and that was pretty par for the course as far as people that I was around, and right, like you find yourself loving the game, and I always kind of joke, it's if I didn't skate for the rest of my life, I would still know how to. It's like riding a bike, so that's also really awesome. And so, yeah, I mean, that's been great. And then I kind of said, like, right, I played high level, juniors, all this kind of stuff like that. I was going to, but I looked in the mirror and I said, I would, if I want to continue at the rate I'm at, I'll have to grind it out in juniors another 2-3 years, right? Find a team to play from there, and then go to school a couple of years after I'd already matriculated out of high school, and what that looks like. And so I just decided that that wasn't for me, got another path for myself. And so then I went into things like at UND, I studied abroad twice, which was really pivotal on my life. So the first time was in Santiago, Chile. And that just changed my life at the end of my freshman year. I didn't really speak Spanish fluently, so just deciding to uproot myself and to go down and spend 3 months in Chile, was traumatic and shocking in a good way. And that it really just made me, who the person I am today, with the confidence and the ability to want to be adventurous and to do all these things. And so, and I still keep in contact a lot with the people that I had met there. And then I also had the great privilege of studying abroad in Norway, so Moss, Norway, which is a little bit outside Oslo. So I had that opportunity, and again, very grateful, and encourage anybody that does have the opportunity to really study abroad, if you get a chance to. And then I also encourage people to intern. So that was also a really big thing that I had, during my college career, was a few internships, and those really set the stage for where I am at now. When I had interned in the Hamlin County Attorney's Office twice, and then I also interned at the American College in Norway, and then I interned with Heidi Heitkamp, who was a senator from North Dakota at the time. So, all that kind of stuff, right, that was my post-hockey life. And then I moved out to Washington, D.C. when I was working for the senator, all these kind of things. I was going to law school. I was working at a think tank. And then George Floyd was murdered, and I had worked at Hennepin County Attorney's Office, so I'd had some gear when I had been working there that I would wear around Washington, D.C. So I'd walk around Washington, D.C. prior to George Floyd, that incident happening, and nobody would know where Hennepin County was, right? I'd walk around anonymous, and I would just go about my day. After that happened, people would literally grab my shoulder. They'd stop me in the street. Hennepin County, oh my God, that's where George Floyd was murdered, all this stuff. Like, why are you wearing, this, just, having just, hysteria, right? And I was like, wow, like Minnesota, Minneapolis, Hennepin County, we're in the spotlight in the world for the wrong reason. And, I grew up in this place. I know that it's not this terrible place that people are, looking at it to be in the news and all that kind of stuff. And I really felt compelled, obligated, like it was a duty of mine to do something. So I was in law school at the time in DC. I transferred back to law school in Minnesota. I got back on the ground, and then I kind of looked back and reverted to my roots of Minnesota and, being a Minnesotan, and that's hockey, right? That's immediately just hockey. And so I jumped right back into that. And one of the things that I realized is, right, like the whole Derek Chauvin, George Floyd thing didn't happen overnight, right? Like this was due to years and years and years of a systemic breakdown between close cultural relationships between our youth, right? So that reason why there was all this fear and violence in the community was because we didn't have young people of different cultures, backgrounds, identities, etc., meeting each other and learning how to become friends from a young age. So I said, how can I help and stem that flow of violence and, help reduce that fear? And that was through a children's book, and that was through using, my personal experiences that I had and interweaving those, again, through hockey and through tougher questions on race and, again, through, teaching kids, right, et cetera, right, all these things, because you have to be taught to hate, right? Kids are not inherently hateful people. They don't say, oh, I don't like Billy because Billy's purple, right? No, their grandpa and grandpa tells them, or, mom and dad tell them that they shouldn't be hanging out with Billy. So how do we prevent that, or how do we curb that kind of anti-education that they're receiving by promoting love, right? And so, creating a book is what I did, and that's why I came up with Hockey is for Everybody. So using those stories and instances that have happened to me, both good and bad in my past, and pulling those together for a book. And then that's kind of again just where I'm at now. And now I go into classrooms and I'm able to teach there. I do creative writing classes. We do anti-bullying seminars, podcasts. Just getting people that are underrepresented involved in the sport, right? A camp this summer at St. Cloud State University, just doing things like that to kind of again redefine the face of hockey, right? Like right now we have all these groups that are underrepresented, and the idea is to get them to a point where they are represented, and that really everybody can feel like they belong in the sport that we are talking about right now, that we love, that we have dedicated so much of our lives to, and that we know really is great for everybody, but just that that messaging is not there yet. And honestly too, again, just like the demographics, right, are not fully there. So we're working on getting that shifting as much as well. So that's kind of why I'm back in the space, and why I feel so passionately about it. And I just really feel like if we can reduce fear and violence in the community, we can do that by creating strong cross-cultural relationships among our youth, and that's really where I'm focusing my attention and energy on right now.
That's awesome. And so I've one last question. I'm going to pass it over to Dirk. In my experience, which again is drastically different, I don't want to claim any similarity, but as my last name's Garza, I do think I'm here or there. I've been lucky enough in my time in hockey that my ethnicity has not come into the conversation on the ice. For kids out there that may have to deal with that, what is your suggestion? Like, it's never easy, but do you have any suggestions, anything that you've utilized that if or when it happened, anyone says anything, that you're able to take it? I mean, for lack of a better way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think this is a really complicated question. I'm not saying that you're complicated, but just that because, right, like maybe what the right answer isn't what people necessarily maybe like want to hear, or really is like what the right answer is, all that kind of stuff, right? I do think that things have also changed quite a bit. So just for instance, right, when I was younger, general wisdom was to ignore them and to skate away and shake it off, and just those kinds of things, right? Oh, they're idiots, and just let them do all these kind of things, right? But like that's been going on now for 20 years, right? And like we're seeing there's really not too much of that has actually changed, right? Because like where is there the actual ownership of a problem, right? Where's the actual attempt to try and reconcile and fix what has occurred, and that's never there. So and that also again starts with the person that it's happened to, right, being vocal, speaking out, having the courage to say something. So we had mentioned a little bit, I don't know if it was off air or not, but just that with that young kid who isn't as vocal, right? Like we don't always know why kids aren't vocal when these kind of things are happening to them. So like at the end of the day, like, right, I do encourage right, kids to speak out if possible, right? But I understand how scary that is, how detrimental that can sometimes be to right, their career ultimately, right? Because again, we talk about, okay, well, don't have so and so on your team because they're just gonna be race baiting and all that kind of stuff, right? But like unfortunately, I think that that really harms the system, the game altogether. So moving forward, right, like back where the wisdom was, we'll just take it and fight through it, go out, score a goal, take their number, all that kind of stuff, right? I do think that we are at that point now where we do have to be speaking out, and we should be not like rewarding, but we should be encouraging and accepting of when people do that, right? Because it is scary for a young kid to come and tell an adult that, like, a player said this, or maybe a coach had said this, or et cetera, right? And then, we need action to then on the adult side to be taken, right? Because it's also really deflating. I remember times when I had tried to say stuff when I was younger where I was then, invalidated, right? So, they didn't mean that, or they were just joking, or oh, that's not that big of a deal, right? Like those kinds of things, right? No. I mean, we actually got to listen to the kids and start listening to these kids. And, when they're telling us, that they're dealing with something, actually coming up with a legitimate solution. So, that solution I think is, bringing the people together, having that discussion, right? Like, can we own, right? I mean, the problem again is, right, a lot of times these things are said and then people say, I didn't say that and yada, yada, yada. But but you know what, right? Bring them together, try to, get, to the bottom of it, right? Was this said, right? Own it. Okay. Now that we've owned it, right, now let's fix it and let's move on. But right now, the non-active ownership and the fact that it's so much of a thing that we really want to just push under the rug and I just get through it, this and that, I think is problematic and has led us to the point that we're at now. So I know it's scared. I know that, it's scary. I know sometimes, kids, because I've been there myself again, right, don't want to be problematic, etc. But, speaking out in that moment, and, holding those people accountable in that time, I think is really important. And where I had mentioned, I think maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, right, that might not have been the best advice and the most common wisdom. But now that we're in a period where people are starting to, listen and are willing to listen, that, you no longer, I hope, will be seen as somebody that's problematic, but actually more, you'll be seen as somebody that has courage and conviction to do the right thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I agree too. Like there isn't an easy answer and there isn't necessarily a good answer, but
and to your point, not to cut you off, Drew, but just my experience isn't everybody else's. And I also want to put that out there because you saying that, and not that you're diminishing what I'm saying, but just that your experience is not the same as mine. And there's also black hockey players, right, that have not had that similar experience. And, I do some coaching and I coach, some kids that live out of state and all these kind of things and players that play in California and et cetera. And a lot of them are oh, it's really, I'd never really gotten that. But then, they did come to Minnesota, for instance, and we did have incidences here. So it's one of those things as well where it's regionally, right? I mentioned where I was playing at, right? I played for a town that is traditionally hated actually around Minnesota in general. People hate Edina, right? People just hate Edina for it. I mean, sometimes it's jokingly, sometimes it's actually real. But that in itself is people actually hate Edina. So the fact that again, not only was I, this black guy playing hockey, right, the sport I shouldn't be playing, I was also playing for Edina, which is this dreaded team, this dreaded city that everybody hates, and so I had a lot of that going for me. So some people who I was able to actually talk with after some incidences and stuff like that, sometimes it'd be I am so wrong, but the fact that you're from Edina is really what did it for me more than the fact that not even more, but the fact that you were black at all, right? It was the fact that I wanted to get under your skin and say something because you were from Edina, is why I chose to do what I did. So it's just one of those things where, right, not everybody that is saying these things might be a nasty racist, right? Sometimes people are just misguided and they need to be corrected, right? They need to be told that what they're doing is wrong. Other times, again, there are it's more vicious, it's more cutting and purposeful, and you're being racist, etc. And that's dealt with in a different way. But kind of again, it's my experience, right, is not going to be yours or going to be the next black person or etc. Right? We all have our own experiences, and that's why I do encourage other people to speak out and to talk about this kind of stuff because again, that way, right, it doesn't my story doesn't become the single story because I really again love hockey, right? I don't think that hockey is a racist sport, etc. Right? All that kind of stuff. I think that incidents happen while hockey is being played that can be racist that are not being handled correctly at the moment, which then gives hockey a bad name altogether. Once you blow it up into a bigger picture, and that's again why I'm just really trying to do what I'm doing now is to try to correct that record in a way that doesn't sweep under the rug the more less savory details as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the record, I don't have any problems with Edina. I actually like Edina. I've been there a few times, so.
Yeah, don't tell anybody from Eden Prairie that. No, I'm joking. But yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, I love that, and I just wanted to, put that out there as well. That like, no, I don't speak for all people of color or anything like that. There are people I'm sure that are out there that are, black that haven't had any issue on the ice, but there is unfortunately, a lot of us that do, and I'm one of those voices, and I appreciate the reception that I've had so far to it. But again, I encourage more people, if they have, had these experiences, to speak out, not to chastise or to condemn, but to, again, for reconciliation and for redemption, and to move that ball forward, right? Like taking ownership over a problem that we're seeing in the sport that we love and fixing it. So, and moving forward for the betterment of everybody and the betterment of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for answering all my questions. This was fascinating, and I do wish we could talk some more, but I'm going to pass this over to Dirk and let you guys get on to the second period.
Yeah, oh yeah, second period, love it.
So, well, like I was saying, it's nice to finally get a chance to sit down and have a chat with you, Anthony. So let's talk about the event coming up in July in Minnesota. How did this event get going, and what was your role in this event, and how did it come about the equal opportunity for? I forget how you guys worded it, but it's like a camp for.
Yeah, hockey for everybody. But yeah, and no, great question, Dick. So like Minnesota being the state of hockey, right? A lot of people tend to want to come here to play some of the best around the country, as some people like to say. And so I had the opportunity last year to assistant coach a team called the Panthers, and they were a team that was brought together by Rochelle Papillon and April Scott, who were two black hockey moms from California. And they also, are administrators on the Black Hockey Mommies group on Facebook, etc. But they had the brilliant idea of having a team of BIPOC players, whatever that might look like, come together and to come play in Minnesota against some of the best talent around, and etc. Right? They wanted that really cool opportunity for their boys who were going to be graduating here soon, and they're going to have another full year of the Panthers thing, and then the boys will be graduated. But so they were in Minnesota. The team came here. We had it ended up being like an all BIPOC team, which is really cool. Almost all black players. There was a Vietnamese player as well, and we came in and played really well. All these kind of things, right? It was just a really cool experience. And then they went on their way, and life happened, and all these kind of things. And then we wanted to run it back again, and found out that when it comes to that age group, there's not a lot of tournaments for people to really participate in once you get to a certain age. So it was kind of like, oh, okay, cool. Let's look at, is there anything in Minnesota, right? Is there anything here, there, blah, blah. And we kind of figured out that, like, well, there wasn't really a lot of tournaments out there. So, maybe try to create something of my own, or on our own. So, I started kind of thinking about that. I ended up connecting with somebody named Jake Mars, who's also a pivotal part of getting the camp off the ground, and told him what I was thinking and all these kind of things, and was like, oh, this is an awesome idea. And it really just took off from there. And then we started talking with St. Cloud State University, and that turned into a whole thing. And then it was, well, hockey is for everybody, so let's include everybody. And that's when we started, LGBTQIA plus, and we ended up working with Josh and Drew, and just really, again, people from the BIPOC communities, and just like really, growing into really something special. And just the idea again of having everybody under the same roof, right? Being able to talk and educate and learn, and just be around each other, and know what our likes, our dislikes, what our pros, our cons, like all these kind of things, right? Like what's working, what's not working. A lot of times, we're just having the same conversations, but they're in silos. And for all of us to really get under one roof, is going to be, I think, really important. And they had that like at the Carnegie Initiative, right? Like they had kind of something a little bit similar. But then, right, there's that symposium, that conference portion of it of like, hey, how can we move the ball forward, the puck forward, right? At making the game more diverse. But then there's also that actual on ice physical aspect of like us all playing together, learning, right? Like, having people maybe try on like these goggles that Josh had talked about, right? Like just, getting us all involved in each other's lives so we better understand each other. Because like every day, like to Drew was saying earlier, right? It's like, Drew Garza, right? Okay, well, like, Drew can experience stuff that, like, is to Drew, but then I can experience stuff that is to me. But then at the same time, right? Like there's a similar theme, through all these kind of things that we can always find. And that's also with the person that's, not a minority, right? Or whatever, again, minority even means that like a white person, right? And that's central, right? Like, like we all have so much more in common than we have, apart. And that was really, again, the idea behind this camp and around this movement, with books and camps and, podcasts, right, et cetera, right? Just that, like, we're getting people excited about the idea that hockey is moving in the right direction, that a new page is being written on this sport, and that we can all really be a part of it, and we all should want to be a part of it, and it's demanding of us to all be a part of it because, right, like if you're not at that table, then you're often forgotten about. So the idea is to get everybody at the table to figure out how can we get to that promised land.
That's amazing, dude. I love the whole story. When I heard about it from Josh and Drew, I really thought it was amazing what you guys are doing for the sport of hockey in general, and for minorities that may be reluctant to want to join or not feel like they have a place in the game. Because I love the slogan "Hockey is for everyone," and I truly believe in it. So to get some of our viewers are thinking about coming to Minnesota. Can you give us an idea of what to expect if they do come to for the blind hockey for the I'm sorry, I was going to call it the Windy City Showdown, but that's what we used to call it before. But what would they expect if they were able to make it to this tournament this year? What should they expect?
Right. So it's going to be in July, so you don't have to worry about snow. I wouldn't pack a coat. But and that's supposed to be a joke. It's Minnesota based. But yeah, no, what you can expect is, again, nice weather, right? We have really mild summers, and you can expect St. Cloud University to really roll out the carpet as far as they're really known for their diversity, right? It's a beautiful town, beautiful state. So what we have actually going on then at the camp itself is, I had mentioned it a little bit earlier, but right, these seminars. So you have leadership, you have after hockey, you have networking, right? Skill building, all these kind of great things where, right, just all these skills that we're bringing together, we're going to be under one roof and studying each other, studying what makes the game better, what makes us better. So that's one aspect of it. And then there's the side of the, overnight aspect of like, here's this camaraderie and community you get to build. So you get to be at a hockey camp, at a hockey university, right? D1 university, all these kind of things, right? The atmosphere is going to be incredible. Everybody there is, hockey minded, etc. So you're going to eat together, you're going to celebrate together, you're going to have entertainment together, movies, bowling, etc. Right? Those are activities we have set up for the nighttime. And then you also get the on ice portion of it. So skating, right? You get to have tournaments, you get to skate. There's a few games back and forth. There's going to be some cool hardware, right? All these kind of things. And the idea, again, is to, just create this absolutely amazing experience for anybody that really wants to be a part of the game of hockey, and, to know that, you can be a part of it. Because, it's weird. Even the conversation I had today, I had a meeting with, a public figure earlier today, right? Talking about hockey, right, as basically the backdrop of the conversation about, like, using that as a medium, as a vehicle, right, to move forward these bigger conversations. And I was telling them I don't really get a lot in my face of any more personal pushback, but they were telling me about all these other elements that are out there that really don't want hockey to be more inclusive. And so, like, again, I'm right, the if you want to change the way you look at things, the change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, right, et cetera, right, all the kind of stuff like that, right. But like, like I am so focused on making the game more diverse that I don't even realize that there are all these other anti-elements, right, that are out there trying to keep the game where it's meant to be, quote unquote, in their minds, which is traditionally wealthy white sport. And so, again, I think the more that we have people out there, doing these kind of things, et cetera, right, like is really important. So, that's what you'll get out of this camp as well, as a chance to be a part of the counterculture, the movement to create something that, again, is going to become the new norm, because, the world is only getting more diverse. And so, for us to try and claim that, we're going to stay with this, keep hockey traditional the way it's always been, when we're seeing that the world is, not going in that direction, seems kind of silly. So, I mean, I, as you had said earlier, believe hockey is for everybody. I firmly believe hockey is for everybody. I played with people of all different shades and religions and ethnicities, sexual orientations, right? And we're all the same, and it's, the more we have people pushing that message out, the better. So, come to this camp and, be a part of something that is really going to be special and, essentially one of, first of its kind for this to be put together. So, I mean, it's going to be, a heavy lift and a lot of fun, but like, it's going to be so worth the experience for everybody making it out here. And again, for just, moving forward the sport into the right direction. So.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it's going to be an amazing event. I'm really looking forward to meeting you in person, and I'm looking forward to working with you and Drew and Josh and helping to continue developing our sport and getting the word out about inclusive hockey for everyone. And I think I can't think of a better segue. I'm going to pass it on to Josh for the third period, man. But I just thank you so much, Anthony, for your time. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to see you this summer.
Yeah, I can't wait. And again, like when you change the way you look at things will get changed, right? Because I mean, like we know, again, like the hockey has been the way it's been, but like the time for change is now, right? And like we're all part of this movement, and like to think that just things are going to stay the same, right, doesn't happen. So like, I mean, the train's leaving, right? Get on board now. They always like to make the comparison of like, when you see those photos of people like screaming, you see people standing in the doorway blocking, African Americans from going to schools and all these kind of things, right? Like that was 50, 70 years ago. I mean, these people look ridiculous, now when looking at these photos. Like, don't be that person, right? Don't be the person that we're going to look at 50 years from now being like, wow, like, look at how hateful that person was. So, like it's, we're all trending in the direction of inclusivity and love. And, I understand everybody else, has their own reasons for being why they are. But something that I do when I go into classrooms is like, I always like to point out that like, right, diverse economy, right? If you don't have a diverse economy, it's going to collapse. If you don't have a diverse diet, your body's going to collapse. If you don't have a diverse gene pool, you're going to collapse, right? So it's like, why wouldn't we want to have diversity in any, like if we have diversity every other part of our life, inclusion, right? Differences, like why would we want to have that in our friendships and our work colleagues and our families, et cetera? It's only going to make us stronger the way it makes everything else stronger.
Awesome. I do want to talk about the future with you, but I do have to go back. I was a math teacher, so writing a book is so far outside my realm. But what was that decision? Because all the steps lead up to it, and it makes sense. But like, it was a book, and then a children's book, and then an illustrated children's book. So, I mean, what was the motivation to do it, and what was kind of the final decision to actually sit down and make that really because that was the big change, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it really was. And like I was just I kind of mentioned earlier, like I was in a different point in my life. There was a W.B. Du Bois sociologist, he had a moment where he was turning in this paper that he had written, and he looked over to see somebody named Samuel Hose being burned at the stake, essentially, and went home and dedicated his life then to moving forward the issues on race and all that, to never see that kind of stuff again. And that's how I kind of envisioned myself with what happened with, George Floyd being murdered in Minneapolis. And then, there was no way I could really focus on international law and just living my life out in DC when, the city that I grew up in was burning to the ground. And like, so, that was, why I went back to Minnesota, et cetera, right? All these kind of things. And, I'm an avid reader, so I've always been an avid reader, and I like to read a book a week if possible or more, right? And so words have always kind of like come naturally that way. And so when I talk about like a book, right, I mean, it really did just come to me. Like I like one morning, I literally woke up, sat down, wrote out the whole manuscript, in one sitting, just from the experience that again had happened to me, and wrote it into a story with a plot, and it had conflict, and it had, rising tension, and, a climax, et cetera, right? All those kind of things. And it was just like, whoa, like, right. I'd never written a book before, and it just, came out onto the page. So then when I started telling, a couple people, I showed them, and they're like, oh, wow, this is really, really good. And, this is something that you could maybe think about, turning into something if you had wanted, to further this message that you want to get out there. So, that was kind of the idea. And that became the idea for a children's book. Well, because again, like, you have to be carefully taught. There was a movie called South Pacific, which was like a 1958 movie. And, basically it's a much longer premise, but like a small portion of the movie deals with this woman who is from the South falling in love with a man who has biracial children. And there's a song called You Have to Be Taught. And that in itself is like, kind of, I mentioned earlier, like, you have to be taught before you're 6 or 7 or 8. Hate the ones who your relatives hate. You have to be carefully taught. And that really just, I was always sung that song when I was younger. My mom always loved it. And like, just to me, it really, again, signaled that like, like, kids are not hateful, right? Like, kids are not, they don't have the capacity to be hateful. It's a taught kind of behavior. So like, the reason why it was a, children's book is so that, it could be read to kids. And that what's really cool about things being read to kids is their parents are also reading it, right? So, you get a chance to, have that message be read, or, hopefully retained, or at least, absorbed to a certain point by both child and parent. And so, that's, essentially where that led. And, kind of, again, like, it just, I am not the most hyper religious person in the world, but like, I know that like through, my adoption that I had, maybe mentioned a little bit earlier on the show, the fact that I was, in Washington, DC, like all these kind of things, like I am a product of, an interesting background just with transracial, adoptee with white parents, and Jewish family members, and gay family members, and Muslim family member, right? Just all these kind of things, right? Just all these, I am capable of having prejudice like everybody else, but it is, much harder when your family is so many different shades and, represents so many different parts of the community. So, that is really kind of, again, just like why it's at where it's at, and, the struggles that I've gone through, if they can help one kid, which is, I'm actually starting to now see the residual effects of the stuff I'm doing, which is really cool. I was out and about, in public life, right, just doing my thing, and I actually had a kid like stop me, show me the cover of my book on his phone, and was like, "Oh, wait, didn't you write this?" And was like, "Can I get a photo with you?" and all this stuff. And it was a young black kid, and all these kind of things. And it was just like, told me that he really liked the book, and that is able to change his mind on a lot of things. So it's like, even if it was this one individual, that could have their life changed by reading this book, then everything that I'd experienced, and it's all worth it in that sense. So that's how it got to be like a book, right? I'm an avid reader. I think that reading is something I encourage everybody to do. Literacy, right? Knowledge is power, all that kind of stuff. And wrapping up my story as well with something like hockey and inclusion only was the icing on the cake to be able to do that. So like I said, like I never intended to. I was out in DC. I was planning to, be an international lawyer and, do all these other kind of things. And I really felt called back to this space to do what I'm doing now.
Ironically, I saw South Pacific on Broadway. My
Yes.
mother's a massive South Pacific. My mother's a massive Broadway buff, but I could not have been older than 9 or 10. So I'm trying to go through songs in my head, and like not. And I was actually searching it as you went. I'm like, oh, definitely the same show. Don't remember it though. So I definitely have to go back and watch. But that's also the kind of household I was brought up in. I mean, my father grew up in the Bronx. Like he grew up through it, and my mother grew up in the war-torn England. She knows what it's like to struggle, and they grew up helping other people. So, I did. I wanted to make another point. I actually am working with my alma mater at Maryland now with undergrads in policy and leadership, and I'm sitting there going, man, I wish I wish I had someone who actually knew the area down there. But they're actually working. I'm working towards something with transportation because that's got to help with us. Now, what do you plan to do with your law degree? Because you have a year left, right? This is your last semester.
Right. So yeah, and I actually now have about 4 months left, maybe less than that. You're a math guy, but I graduate on June 3rd is the date of the graduation.
Congratulations. I mean, that's got to be less than 4 months.
Yes, there you go. Cool. Like
that's
I said,
a good one. That even sounds better, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I'm honestly incredibly excited. I am so honored, blessed, grateful to have had the opportunity to have gone to law school, to have gone through law school, to get that kind of education. But I'm ready now to go out into the world and really, use that education for good and, what they really want us to be doing it for. So, Mitchell Hamlin School of Law is where I'm at, where I'll be finishing up at in St. Paul, Minnesota, and love the school, encourage everybody to check it out. They're so innovative. They have a program for felons that they're able to go to school, and a lot of there's the first of its kind Black Letter Law Center, and et cetera. And that a lot of the law focuses on how the law has affected Black citizens and BIPOC citizens over the course of a couple centuries, et cetera. So Mitchell Hamlin does a great job. So yeah, I'm really excited and grateful to be a part of such a awesome inclusive institution. And then, but yeah, I'll be done there, in the spring here in a couple months. And after that, I plan on taking the bar in February of 24. So, I'll take a little bit of time off there to, be more out in the community, to, the hockey camps and et cetera. And then I also will be helping like adoptees. That's kind of like, it'll be more of like my little bit of a niche legal clinic stuff. I've talked to a few other adoptee lawyers as well, just in the area. But as I kind of mentioned as well, right, that's a bigger part of my life and story, and that's not one that people know about as much, just because the hockey stuff is more front and center. But yeah, I'm an adoptee. It's been a huge part of my life. When I was 25 years old, I reconnected with my biological family through a closed adoption. So my records are still closed, right? That was never supposed to happen. It just happened to happen again, and I'm really grateful for that. But I don't speak for all adoptees because everybody's different. But for me, it was something I needed personally to make myself whole. So I really am so grateful to God every day to have that opportunity. But I am looking to help others achieve that if that's what they want to do. It's really complicated, to be honest. Again, that could be a whole nother episode, especially if you're an inter-country adoptee. Sometimes there's paperwork wasn't signed right and stuff like that, and you might not be a citizen, or et cetera. Right? There's so many just weird things. So I definitely like to fight for the underrepresented and underprivileged, and that's what will continue to do, but on the adoption side.
No, that's awesome. That was another way we connected also. That's great. I'm excited to meet you. And actually, when this episode comes out, it'll be this weekend, because
awesome.
it'll be basically 10 days from now. So it'll be great to see you, great to play with you. It's this is an awesome connect. I think you'll be an awesome connection for this community, and this community will be an awesome connection for you. I am so glad to have you on here. Is there anything else you want to add on this end before we kind of wrap up?
I just want to say, like, when you change the way you look at things, the things will get changed, right? I kind of butchered that a few times out through this, but like, seriously, I mean, like, we can, like, when you, like, there's so much love out there, right? Like, if you hyperfixate on what's wrong with the world and stuff like that, then like you're going to see your reticular activators, right, are going to be like focusing on that kind of stuff, right? But if you choose love and acceptance, etc., right, like that's the kind of stuff that you're going to surround yourself with. That's how I found Josh, or how, we found each other and Drew, right? Because like we're loving, accepting, like we want to, go out and, create a better world for people that are coming after us. So that's just something I want to say, right? Like, choose love, right? Like, go out there and, right, find somebody that is different than you on purpose and get to know them, because, it'll change your world for the better. So thank you all for having me on. I cannot wait to, again, see you in person. Super funny. For a lot of my law stuff, pandemic-wise, it went online and this and that. So now as we're getting back in person, it's really fun to, like, see people. And one of the funny things we always say is, oh, you have legs. Like, so, because you're always looking at people's faces and stuff. So, it'll be fun to see y'all and to see us skating around and, see our actual physical bodies. So I can't wait for that kind of stuff and to really be able to see you there. So cannot wait for that. And thank you so much.
Awesome. And please go pick up his book. It is on Amazon. Are you still number one?
It was. I'm not sure anymore. But and then, yeah, 1 and 2. So yeah, my gosh, Hockey's for Everybody. The book itself on Amazon. Right, the story is, again, just like autobiographical in a way, right? I took some of the stuff that had happened to me over the 15, 20 years of playing and put them into a story so that adults and kids, right, could understand it. It's an icebreaker, quote unquote, right, for the tougher conversations. And then Hockey's for Everybody 2, Anthony Goes to Camp, is actually out as well. And that's a continuation of the story. And it shows how to identify a problem, how to own it, and how to fix it, and how to move on. You have the protagonist and the antagonist from the first story become the protagonist in the second one. And again, it just really walks you through how to deal with issues of racial injustice and what it looks like to move past that in a very positive way. So again, thanks for plugging that as well, and I really appreciate it.
No problem.